And hello, everybody. We are here again for another episode of Beyond Red. We are here with Nahom Weddy, and we're joined today by Bryan Hickey, the nutrition psychologist and the 6-time Irish bodybuilding champion. How's things, Brian?
Not too bad, lads. How you getting on?
All good, all good. So we're just going to start today with a quick mini game. It's going to be you basically destroying gym myths, or actually keeping them as law and saving them. So you're probably about to break a lot of hearts here, right? First one we're going to go is you have to sweat buckets to burn fat.
Absolute myth. Like we were talking about earlier on, does that mean people who live in Alaska or cold environments can't lose fat? Absolutely not. Just because you don't sweat doesn't mean anything.
Okay.
Or else you could just go on holidays to Spain. There's a lot of fat people walking around on holidays in Spain, and they're sweating buckets. So
that's true. That's true.
Myth.
So we're going to destroy that one.
Destroy it.
Right. Next one is lifting weights makes women bulky.
Another myth. What makes women bulky is probably not exercising at all.
Really?
Well, of course, because they're carrying extra body fat. They're not going to be fit, they're not going to be healthy, so that's going to incorporate more bulk onto their frame. So no, lifting weights does not make women bulky.
Right.
It's too much calories.
Too much calories. Yeah. Next one is supplements are necessary to see results.
In certain circumstances, I'm going to say yes, but generally no. But let me try and quantify that. There's certain supplements out there that will have a very profound effect. For example, someone's immune system is down. We know stuff like glutamine, echinacea. These have all been proven to be very effective in boosting immune function and lowering respiratory tract infections. So that's just one angle. But if you think you need whey protein and creatine to get bigger, that would be a falsehood.
Okay. Next one we're going to say is you doing 500 crunches a day will get you abs faster.
Another myth. Again, if the body fat's there, you can have all the best abs in the world. You're not going to see them. Get rid of the body fat.
Okay. If you're not sore, your workout didn't count.
Again, another myth. This must be just all myths, is it? Yeah, another myth. Obviously, can you get sore from working out? Of course, but it's not a necessity.
The scale is the only way to track progress.
Probably one of the worst ways to track progress. From a physiological point of view, use a woman who could be in different times of her cycle during the month. Obviously, water weight is going to fluctuate up and down, and it can fluctuate a lot from one week to the next. Doesn't mean they're putting on body fat. It's just water retention. Also, people who use that as their only metric can sometimes get quite obsessed with it. And if the scales doesn't drop, say, fuck this, I'm done, and they're out, and they stop doing what they're supposed to be doing. Which is why I like to use body fat skin fold calipers, because that's a little bit more of a tangible gauge. Old school. A little bit more tangible, a metric.
Okay. Next one, fasted cardio melts fat like butter.
Trying to find the right way to phrase this. Fasted cardio works, but it doesn't work any better than cardio at any other stage of the day. Calories burnt are calories burnt in that regard. So it doesn't matter if it's fasted, directly after training, completely separate the training. So it doesn't really matter. The one thing I do like about fasted cardio is that if you get up early in the morning, it puts you in a positive mind frame for the day, and everything just seems to
flow better.
Exactly.
Nice. This one is more sweat equals more calories burned equals more fat loss. Mad equation, but is that true or false?
No, because it goes back to the first one. If you're exercising in a cold environment, you're not going to burn much. Obviously, you have these heated chambers now, are all the craze.
Yeah.
And you're going to sweat a lot more, but you're still doing the same output. In fact, it could be argued, it's going to go against what a lot of people will think, the heated chambers, if you're doing like a 45, 60-minute class, you're dehydrating yourself as you're going.
Yes.
The more dehydrated you get, the less power output. The less power output and less intensity you put in, the less calories you're burning.
Yes.
So an argument could be made that you burn less calories in a hot environment.
A lot of people are gonna be angry at that one.
I just like throwing curveballs in there and just ruining everyone's narrative. Argumentative bastard.
Okay, here's one that a lot of my gym dunnies are not gonna like. Machines are useless, free weights or die.
Everything has its place. Everything has a place, especially when you're old and injured like me and you can't use dumbbells and barbells. I'd be lost without machines now. Now, obviously, I think dumbbells and barbells are probably the basic basis of most programs. And again, it depends on your goals. So the lads that are going to get pissed off in your gym, what are they looking to do? Build muscle? Are they fighters?
Probably both.
So from a fighting perspective, free weights would probably be better because they're more functional. You're not locked into a set range of motion. But for building muscle, they both have their place.
Nice. You have to train every muscle twice a week or you're wasting time.
No. If you can get the right amount of volume and intensity where you can recover and train twice in a week, great. But if you can only train once a week, you'll still get results.
Nice. You need to detox. You need detox teas to cleanse your body after cheat days.
The best way to detox your body, don't put the toxins in the first place. No, the body is built with its own natural detoxification system. Your lymphatic system, liver, kidneys, they detox you. So all these teas was another marketing gimmick to make people a few quid.
There.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that either.
Nearly done there. So doing cardio kills muscle gains instantly.
No, not instantly. If you overdo cardio and push too far into a calorie deficit, it can do. And again, it depends on the type of cardio you're doing as well. If it's low intensity cardio, less chance of burning muscle.
Okay. And last one. Buying a booty band automatically means you're about to get Instagram famous.
I couldn't comment on that one.
Right, let's get into it. So, Bryan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Could you tell our viewers just a bit about yourself, about how your journey started?
Right, how did it start? Remind it back a while. Started out playing football like most young fellas in Dublin, and got to a point where I realised team sports probably weren't for me because I was relying on other people for success. And no matter how much extra work I did, I realised, okay, I'm still relying on these lads turning up drunk, you know what I mean, or not turning up at all, and we're down to 9 players. So I moved into individual sports, started with cross-country running, and then moved into triathlons.
Oh.
So I did them up until I was about 19, represented Ireland twice, and then realised that I had no life, no social life. I was 19 years of age, wasn't able to go out for pints with my mates, so I decided to start going to the gym because I could go to the gym, still train, and then have a social life as well. There was a good balance between socialising and training back then, but very soon I got competitive with that as well and got into bodybuilding, and I did that from about 21 up until now. So that's the sporting background.
Nice. Then I'll actually ask you a bit about what the last one you said is. So you're a 6-time Irish bodybuilding champion.
Yeah.
That's elite. Like to get to that stage, it takes a lot of discipline, a lot of hard work. But how did competing at that level shape your mindset?
It's changed a lot over the time. When I first started competing, I suppose would have been a lot of intrinsic motivation, where I just did it for the sake of the enjoyment of doing the thing. But then the more I won, the more pressure I felt, the less I enjoyed it. So the last competitions I did was last year. I did the PCA Ireland and the PCA Universe, and it's probably the worst I felt. The day before the competitions, I was like, I'm pulling out. I don't want to do this. It's just the pressure I put on myself, it stopped being enjoyable. Look, I always enjoyed the process, the dieting, the training, the suffering. But then the part of getting on stage and then being judged, it lost its appeal.
Okay. What was the moment when you realised it wasn't just about muscles and macros and that psychology was also just as important?
Probably very early on. Now, I didn't look too much into it, but I knew that what set me apart from a lot of the lads I was competing against, who had clearly better genetics, they were clearly a lot bigger, that I had a mindset that I could out-suffer them.
Out-suffer them?
Yeah, because when you want to get really, really lean, you know, it comes down to how much pain you can endure. Can you walk around being hungry 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for weeks on end? And I was able to do that. I was able to push everything to the side. I embraced it. I looked forward to it. And if I didn't feel that, I was like, I'm not dieting hard enough, you know.
Yes. So you think diet is important?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah. It's I know people will often throw out percentages. 70% of it is made in the kitchen, all this, but it's a very, very high percentage of what the nutrition is. And then obviously the mindset to turn up every day, put the effort in every day. Missing out on social occasions because you're sitting in eating, you want to get adequate rest. At a high level athlete, I suppose these are the sacrifices you have to make. Plus, as someone who didn't have good genetics, I have felt I had to work twice as hard as everyone else, and I was willing to do it.
Next one is, what was one of the biggest misconceptions about fitness or nutrition that you had when you started out that will be completely changed now at this stage of your career?
Wow. There's a lot of misconceptions in the fitness industry, and for some reason a lot of them are still around. The whole thing of don't eat after 7 o'clock. I'm sure you've all heard that one. Don't eat carbs after 8 o'clock or whatever it may be. There was a time limit on when you can start or stop eating. But that one's still around. But one that has changed, can't really think of anything that was there then that's still around today.
What's something that probably you started out, you did back then when you were starting out, that you've completely just done away with, and you probably would recommend people not to do?
I suppose back then I was hell-bent on, the post-workout window. There's one for you, I suppose. That's kind of gone now, to a large extent. If you don't have your protein and carbs within 20 minutes after training, the session is ruined.
Yes.
That's obviously not true.
That's not true.
No, really. So it depends on what angle you're looking for. It was based off really loose science. So basically, protein synthesis is stimulated for a period of time after we lift weights. And they used to think it was 20, 30, 40 minutes, so you have to get your protein in straight away. We know now that protein synthesis and those pathways for building muscle stay activated for a lot longer than 20 or 30 minutes. Then you also have, I suppose, insulin sensitivity, which is your body's ability to use carbohydrates, are higher after intense exercise. So back then we thought had to get in within 20 or 30 minutes. We know now, obviously, sensitivity stays high for a bit longer. Now there is kind of a decreasing window as time goes, but you still have a lot longer than 20 or 30 minutes.
Nice. Next one be, so you've obviously over the years, you've probably worked with a wide range of clients, probably from people that are just going to the gym, to people that you coach, such as Ozani, where they're competing at a very high level. What would you say is different from all their mindsets, or would you say all their mindsets are different, or would they be along the same?
It's funny because I can see people who are average people who would have really, really good mindsets, but have never have any idea or thought of getting on a stage or competing like that. Then I have people who want to compete, and the sort of flakiest people that I've come across.
Really?
Yeah, like, I want to do this. Okay, well, these are the steps you have to do to get to that. And just the mindset doesn't allow them. Like, they skip cardio, they're eating off plan. Simple little things, but simple little things that make a big difference in the long run.
Yeah, nice.
And you've mentioned, obviously, from what you said, mindset was a big thing for you.
Yeah.
So going into competitions, you were kind of nervous. You didn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
If there's anything you would change now, what would it be?
To appreciate the hard work a bit more. I suppose gratitude is the word that everyone has been using for the last couple of years. It's in vogue. I always struggled with appreciating where I was and what I'd achieved. Any competition I did, even when I won, the first thing I did was go to the judges. Okay, what do I need to do to be better? Because there was always another level, another show. You know, I won Irish shows, but then the next one is the World Championships or the Mr. Universe, and then there's pro qualifiers. So there's always levels, and I always wanted to try and move up to the next level, and probably didn't appreciate the wins and the good times when I had them. So that's probably one that I'd change.
What's been one of the hardest parts about transitioning from a pro athlete to an educator?
Well, I've kind of been educating for a while now. Like, I've been in the coaching field for probably 15 years, nearly as long as I've been competing.
Okay, nice.
But the transition from, I suppose, completely giving up the competing side of things, that's a struggle. And it's probably a struggle, something I'm still struggling with, because you're so used to having a certain persona. Yes. You know, my persona would have been wrapped up in my physique. And when that starts to shift, you don't see yourself the way you used to be, because I'm not the way I used to be.
Start walking around self-conscious.
Oh, yeah. And I was self-conscious back then, believe it or not.
Okay.
Body dysmorphia, you know,
Okay.
it's... Back then, I thought it was small. Now I'm looking at myself like, now I am small. You know, so it's a bit more of a reality.
Yes.
So I loved the process of competing and the diet and all that. So not doing that now, I suppose, I'm still trying to get my head around, because I only made this decision probably 5 or 6 months ago that I was taking a backseat from competing.
Only 6
And what
months ago?
advice would you give to someone that has like, you know, for example, I'll go off me, yeah? I have skinny legs.
Yeah.
As a fighter, you need to be strong. You need to be muscular. But I'm just a skinny guy standing across someone. Or maybe someone could be fat. They don't want to talk to people. They don't want to walk around, and they don't feel the confidence.
Of course.
How can I change that?
So for you, you need to get out of the mindset that your legs need to be big and muscular. Do they perform? Do they do what you need them to do? That's all that matters. You don't need your legs looking, unless you want them looking a certain way.
Well,
That's a different story.
Well, you want to be going around the beach feeling confident.
Would you add muscle to your legs? Would that detract from your fighting?
Yes.
Well, then you've a hard decision to make. What do I want more? You know?
But tapping into this, you know, having the confidence, walking around, feeling, I'm actually enough.
Yeah.
You know, how can I tap into that? Because obviously you do psychology as well, and that's your expertise as well. So if you can tap in and explain how that would be possible.
Regarding confidence, it's something that would need a lot of work. There's certain tools that we'd use, like of imagery, visualization, self-talk, you know, stuff like that. I'm sure people are broadly familiar with these aspects, but it's doing them in, I suppose, a more focused way, whatever your lack of confidence is coming from. And it's like training a muscle. You can't just do, okay, deep breathing, visualization, grand. Oh, I'm still not confident. It's something that you need to practice and keep practicing and keep practicing.
Yes.
You know, it's not something you can answer in one.
Yeah, so you kind of have to practice art of visualization.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, like you said, someone who's overweight,
Yes.
and not having confidence, where does that stem from? You know, it's their perception of how other people are viewing them,
Yes.
which quite often isn't the reality.
Yes.
You know, oh, she thinks I'm ugly because I'm fat.
Yes.
How do you know what she's thinking?
Maybe it's your face.
Yeah, well, that's my problem, and I'm not fat. So there's a lot of deep aspects that you could look into there, but
Okay, so it's more inner work that you got to do.
100%
Yes.
inner work, absolutely. Now, obviously, you could seek out a trained professional. There's so many different forms of psychology that you can use, like cognitive behavioural therapy would be one that a lot of people would use for working with self-confidence. Something similar to that be rational emotive behavioural therapy, whereas they work on reframing thoughts and emotions with different words and different
Does
emotions.
that work though? Reframing thoughts. It's like I
Science
can
is
only
proving it.
imagine sitting down and now I have to reframe every thought. How hard is that? And obviously sometimes I'm like, it's bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? I wouldn't even believe in it to even begin with.
Yeah, that's
So
the problem that we
if
come
you
across.
if you can take me step by step on, like, I want to improve myself,
Yeah.
and I want to be confident more, you know, whatever I want to do, whether it's I feel a certain way about myself that I need to change.
Yeah.
But to even come to a point where I need to actually sit down and actually put up with this, if you can take me step by step.
Okay, it's like similar to what we were saying earlier on. You want bigger legs. You have to go in, you have to squat, you have to leg press, you have to Romanian deadlifts. They're fucking hard. You're going to be tired. You're not going to want to do them, but you do them for the greater good. You
Yes.
have to be open to the idea for starters.
Okay.
So you really need an open mind when you're going into this sort of
Okay.
stuff.
So being aware and being open about it is the first step.
Absolutely, you have to be receptive to the idea. You know, you'll try something, and if it doesn't work after a few weeks, you try different things. There's different tools. Like I said, visualization and imagery are just one thing. Reframing is another idea. There's so many different tools that you can use, but it's just finding one that fits for you. And like I said, you need to be open to it in the first place.
Gotcha.
Okay. So the big word I kept on hearing there was reframing.
Yeah.
So let's go for reframing setbacks. So, Brian, in every journey, there are bruises we don't post about. When you face serious injuries like the leg press incident, what was your first reaction and how did you choose to reframe it?
Initial reaction, I'm fucked. Lying in a heap. How did I reframe it? I suppose I knew pretty much straight away that that could have been the end, and that was a proper serious accident, and I was going to be out of action. So my initial thoughts were, okay, this is just another challenge. Like I was saying earlier on, I always like the process of competing in bodybuilding because of the suffering and the work you put in, the fact that I could outwork people. This was just another challenge in a different guise. Did I know I'd ever get back to getting back on stage? No.
Because it was bad, wasn't it? You were in there.
Yeah.
How long were you in a wheelchair for?
Well, I was in a hospital bed basically for 6 weeks.
6 weeks ago.
And I was in full-length knee braces for, I think, 12 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, so after I think the first 4 or 5 weeks, I went from here, they gave me 30 degrees, then 60 degrees, then 90 degrees. Every couple of weeks they'd give you a little bit more, and then they came off. So for the first 2 or 3 weeks, I was on a Zimmer frame. It was great. My training consisted of trying to shuffle up and down the road, and I had to move back in with my mum and dad at the time because obviously I couldn't go upstairs, legs couldn't bend. So basically bed bound for 6 weeks.
Heavy.
And it was just, I believe there's always a positive out of every negative thing that happens. You might have to look very, very hard sometimes, but there is a positive to be taken from that somewhere. So for me, it was a challenge of just getting back on stage and proving to people that as bad as you think you may have it, if you work hard enough and just get your mind in the right place. I did a lot of visualization then.
So do you think your background helped you, get through this moment then?
My stubbornness, yeah. Like I had no real psychology background at that time.
Okay.
It would have been around then that I kind of got into it.
Yeah. But obviously being elite as you are, you must have the grit and getting through things.
Yeah, so I probably would have had, I suppose, good mental strength and resilience as well. I think resilience more so than mental strength. They're similar, but they're not the same. Resilience is more about being positive in the face of setbacks and then being able to put a plan in place. So that's what helped me actually. Okay. When I knew I was going to be bedbound, I laid out a plan. What can I do? I worked on flexibility. I could lean forward, I could stretch my hamstrings, little things like that. Getting out walking was the next step. I couldn't squat, I couldn't obviously do any exercise. So that was the loading for the muscles to bring you to that next step to eventually get back into the gym. You're using the smallest weights. It was all just one step after the other. And just knowing where those steps were. You had a long-term vision and then break down into the smaller goals along the way.
Wow.
And then you actually went back to competing after all this happened?
Yeah, so that was 3 years ago. And I got back on stage last year. So 2 years.
How did that go?
I won PCA Ireland, the
Nice.
short class.
Hey, nice.
And then I got toured into Mr. Universe the week after.
That's so literally you're telling me you came back from having 2 broken legs. What was the injury? You
Tore both quad tendons, both quads came off the bone.
So you're telling me the quads are gone basically.
Yeah.
You're in a wheelchair. You're
Surgically reattached.
Yeah, I had to get surgery, but 3 years later you're back competing and you're back doing what you basically love doing, which was bodybuilding.
Yeah, pretty much.
Excellent stuff. So the next question would be like, a lot of people would see such an injury as the end of progress. What would you say to them to flip that narrative in their
Yeah,
own
because I
minds?
can only imagine that would shatter your mindset. I can only imagine now. I do MMA. If horrific injury happens, that makes you think, I just need to get a full-time job now. This is not for me anymore. Like, you would come up with any reason, and it takes a serious type of man to not just even train, but compete again. That's a different type of mindset.
I suppose, think of an injury. What injury were you thinking of when you say...
Let's say breaking my knee.
Okay, has there any MMA fighters ever broken their knee before?
Yes.
Have they come back?
Yes.
Are they a better man than you? Okay, that one's up for debate. You don't know because you may not know the person personally.
Yes.
But it's been done before. If they can do it, why can't I? So that's the first step in giving you hope. It's been done before. Going back to the 4-minute mile, Roger Bannister back in the 60s or the 50s thought it was impossible to break. Roger Bannister broke it. Within a year, 5 or 6 other people have broken it. What they previously thought was impossible, well, he's done it.
So if someone else does it,
Yeah.
why not you?
You're performing vicariously through other people's experience. We can learn a lot from looking at other people.
Wow.
So do you also think that people who get such injuries, when that moment comes to them, that would actually show who their character is by how they perform after that?
Yeah, to a degree. Now, when you say perform afterwards, it's not about coming back and winning. It's just being able to do the process of trying to get back. That's where I think the mindset is. Like, you can't be guaranteed you're ever going to win anything.
Yes.
No matter how good or bad you are, you never know. But if you focus on the process rather than the actual outcome of, okay, I'm going to get back into the gym, I'm going to get back on the diet. Because a lot of people, when they're not training, sure, I'm not training, I'll just have this bar of chocolate and I'll just have this takeaway. And they need everything to fit in perfectly, but they're all individual parts of the puzzle. So if you can just get back and do them bit by bit and focus on the process, I think that's where the true test of character is, rather than the actual end result.
Okay, nice. It was, so you're saying it's the process and the
The
journey.
process, absolutely, yeah.
Nice. You've achieved huge things in bodybuilding, but was there ever a point where you seriously questioned if you'd ever be able to train again?
All the time. I've had so many injuries, yeah. I suppose most notably would have been after the quad injury. And I haven't been able to train the same. Nowhere near what I used to be able to do, but it's focusing, okay, what can I do? It's trying to focus on the positives and not on the negatives. I can't squat. Well, actually, I went back squatting there 2 weeks ago for the first time in 3 years. Can't leg extension. I can't do a lunge or a split squat.
Oh, really?
Oh, there's
No
so...
lunges?
The only thing I can really do is leg presses and different variations. So I need a gym with about 10 different leg presses.
Because even me, when I was doing personal training with Mike Lawrence, what I noticed is everybody has injuries.
Yep.
And let's say I need them to do lunges, but they say they can't because of knees, whatever. You now have to figure out other ways to work their muscles.
That's it, exactly. Like my previous injury would have been I tore my pec off the bone as well. And for 6 months, I couldn't train the left side of my body. So I focused on training my legs, used it as an opportunity to bring up my legs. I've trained the right-hand side of my body.
Would that cause imbalances?
No, so there's something called the crossover effect. That if you have an injured limb, if you can train the uninjured limb, it will slow down the rate of atrophy of the injured limb. Yeah.
This is news to me. What, really?
Yeah. People think it's going to be imbalanced. And come here, you might be imbalanced, but it will come back a lot quicker and you will lose a lot less muscle off the uninjured limb.
Nice.
So you reckon problem over solution, or solution over problems?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So just last one on the reframing. So if you could implant one mindset into every person who's struggling with setbacks right now, what would it be and why?
Whatever the bad situation they're going through, it's going to pass. The same way when the good times come, enjoy it, because they're going to pass as well.
These two shall pass.
Yeah. We say all the time.
Yeah.
As well, yeah.
Like I was saying earlier on about I never enjoyed the good moments because I was like, what's the point? I'm going to have to fucking go back to the grind and I probably won't win the next time. So enjoy the good moments and embrace the bad moments. And like you said, look for solutions in problems.
Gotcha. So let's get into nutrition and supplements. If you could ban one supplement that's 99% marketing and 1% snake oil, which one would you ban?
Jesus, probably a lot. Diet protein.
Diet protein?
Diet protein. Protein is protein. You know, the same amount of calories. And if they have less calories in the diet protein, it's a smaller serving size. What they usually do is add something like green tea extract and maybe chromium to give it a sense of this has a fat burner in it as well. But it's just an absolute gimmick.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're probably about to plummet the stocks for them right now.
See, there's a couple of other supplements I could have chosen, but I have friends who are affiliated with such brands, so I said I won't do them with the service.
You're being loyal. That's calm. If you could erase one gym exercise like it never existed, which one would it be?
Ooh.
a gym exercise that is completely useless, and you don't know why people are still doing this exercise?
Bicep curls.
No, because you want bigger biceps. They're
As a fighter, I'm like, it's useless.
Oh, absolutely. If you see an athlete doing bicep curls,
He's not an athlete.
You'd question who they got their programming off, because there might be a 1 in 100 times that you'd come across that it actually serves a purpose or a function, but 99% of the time it serves no purpose. I suppose one that's very popular now is this single arm lat pull down. People doing 3 plates.
I know
and
it's hard.
squeeze and
Yeah,
that'd be the one.
that's the TJ move. You know why that is though? You know why that is? Look at that butch. And I'm like, bro, what's that doing?
If it's functional for checking out women, by all means, but if they're using
They're acting like they're productive. You're not. Like,
That'd be
give
the
it
one.
over.
So is that exercise useless?
You were only doing it yesterday. And I'm like, and it's only one arm, whichever way they're facing, just turn around. By miracle, there's a girl
At least you have
there.
a valid reason for using it, you know. Most people don't. So that'd be one to be gone.
Okay, calm. Next one is, what's the most overhyped fat loss method that needs to be just put to bed completely?
Ooh, again, there's quite a lot.
What's the most notable?
Reducing carbs too low. So cutting out carbs. That would probably be the one that I'd go for.
Because we need carbs, don't we?
From a very basic, I suppose, biological standpoint, yes, the brain and the central nervous system function off glucose primarily. Now, obviously, you can create glucose through other parts of your, like,
Really?
yeah, like protein can be converted, amino acids can be converted to create glucose. But at the end of the day, they still need to be converted to glucose. Plus, most of the foods we enjoy are carbs, you know, so to lose weight and lose fat, you don't have to starve yourself and not enjoy the process either. So cutting out carbs be the first one that I do away with. Now, do they have a place at times? Possibly. If someone likes the high-fat style diet, great. But as a general rule, keep carbs in. Don't cut them out.
All right.
But from a fighter point of view, obviously, when we're making weight,
Yeah.
we're getting told to reduce carbs, and at the same time, we have to perform at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Is that counterproductive to what we were trying to achieve on fight night?
It's counterproductive to performance. It may help in some degree to the weight loss and the fat loss, but if you're restricting carbohydrates too low for too long a period, absolutely it's going to impact how you perform at the end of the day. We were only talking earlier on that it's not a make weight competition, it's a performance based competition. And you can make weight, but if you can't perform to your ultimate ability at the very end of it, what's the point in making weight? So I would definitely keep them in, because a lot of the work that you do is high intensity. Now, don't get me wrong, you may have to reduce them. My argument there would be, don't get as fat before your next fight. You don't have to restrict as much. You know, try and stay closer to your fight weight.
Okay.
I mean, that's one thing a lot of fighters do. They fight at a weight that is far below their walk around weight. I think that's one thing that I really dislike. That I see that I would say most fighters I see.
Would that damage any of your brain functioning?
Of course. Maybe like in the short term, not necessarily long term, but absolutely. If you're overly depleted in glycogen and hydration, your brain will not be able to take the same kind of impact that it would if you're fully hydrated and carbed up. And yeah, definitely.
Okay. What's your take on the trend of people using steroids without any competitive goals just to look good on social media?
Each to their own. If that's something that they want to do, who are we to judge?
That is true.
Would you judge a girl that wants to go and get a gastric sleeve? Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But again, would you judge a girl for wearing makeup or going out to make themselves look better? You know, each
She should be wearing hijab. Don't say that to me, bro.
Do I agree with it? I don't disagree with it. Like I said, it depends on an individual's what they want to achieve. I would just say that if you're doing it, do it in the healthiest way possible. Whether you're a competitive athlete or not, these drugs come with inherent risks, and they should be treated as such. You know,
Okay.
be safe.
We'll get into the steroids now in a bit. Next one I'm gonna ask is on a funny one. What's your opinion on the trend of a lot of people now using weight loss medications like Ozempic for quick fixes?
Use it for quick fixes shouldn't happen. I think it's people who are using it for a quick fix are lazy. Do I think that Ozempic is a really good drug? Yes, because it's helping a lot. It was obviously first designed as a diabetes medication. So people who were insulin resistant, type 2 diabetics, even women that suffer with PCOS, that suffer with insulin resistance, I think it's a fabulous drug for that. For people out there who are training right and eating right and consistently, not just for a week here and a week there, they're doing it consistently and they're struggling, and they could have some inherent endocrinological issues where obviously their hormones are unbalanced. It can have a great impact there, can really help them. But if it's used for a quick fix, that's a different scenario altogether.
Okay, because that's like one of the biggest trends I'm seeing right now is Ozempic. Ozempic is...
And it's funny because you mentioned about lads using steroids to get ready for the beach or whatever. A lot of women who would have probably looked down their nose on that before are possibly the ones using Ozempic now, you know. And I said, I have no issue with either as long as both are treated for what they are, drugs that come with inherent risks and side effects. So as long as you treat them like that and do it in a safe manner, I think have at it.
Nice. Do you think the obsession with supplements has now overshadowed the importance of just eating a good balanced diet?
I would have thought that supplements would have been less popular now than they were maybe 15, 20 years ago. Back then, there was lots of fitness magazines. Everyone was reading bodybuilding magazines, and every second page was an ad for something.
Yes.
You know, and I used to walk in a supplement shop, and the amount of different things I used to take. Granted, I got a 40% discount, which made it a little bit more cost effective. But I think today people are more aware of the importance of food over supplementation. Do you notice difference? Do you notice that people still use supplements more than food?
I'm noticing now, I was even just walking the Holland Bars the other day, there's just so much things for so many different things. You walk in, you're asking lady, what's that for, what's that for? So I think supplements is like, there's way more supplements now than there was probably back then as well.
There could be more. I can't say for definite if there's less or more, but one thing I get when clients come to me and we get onto the supplementation part of their plans, I tell them there's 100 things out there. You can take all of them, and I'm sure they'll all have some sort of positive effect on you. Okay. But where do you draw the line? Pick the ones that are most important and prevalent to you. I have a couple of basics and a couple of staples that I get people to take. There'd be fish oil, good quality fish oil, vitamin D, a good quality probiotic, and possibly a multivitamin. They're the basics. Now, every other supplement has a place, but how much money do you really want to spend? You know, there's so many herbs for this, herbs for that, vitamins, minerals, individual. You know, it's where do you stop?
Yes.
You know.
I'm sorry because I just didn't hear you say creatine there.
Okay, so creatine is great, but again, I wouldn't consider it an essential supplement. I have been doing a bit of research lately, and I would be more interested in creatine for its cognitive benefits, its effects on brain function, and offsetting Parkinson's and neurological issues down the line. I'd be more interested in that than I would as a muscle building supplement, personally. Yeah. Now, again, I said it's been treated as a muscle building supplement for years. It's probably the most tried and tested supplement out there, and it works. But I wouldn't consider it essential for muscle building.
So how would a creatine help a fighter?
Okay, so when your body breaks down carbohydrates into energy, the final molecule that you need is called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. So that's your basic currency of energy at a very cellular level. Right, probably getting a little bit out there now. So every time you have a muscular contraction, your body has to donate a phosphate molecule, and ATP, adenosine triphosphate, becomes adenosine diphosphate, ADP. So it loses one of the phosphate molecules. Creatine monohydrate will give you back that phosphate molecule. So you get ATP again, and you can have another muscular contraction. Obviously, so the higher your creatine stores, the more frequent, high-intensity muscular contractions you can have.
And you spoke about the brain functioning. Yeah. How would that help me?
So I'm not sure the exact mechanisms. It's only an area that I've started reading up on recently, but it's been shown in studies to lower, I think it's inflammation in kind of the neurological synapses, and overall it's been shown to improve cognitive function in some basic tests. I'm sure a lot more research needs to be done.
I've heard a lot of great fighters, like, you know, coaches that have experience in fighting that said that about creatine.
Yeah.
Especially when you're cutting weight and you're depleted. It's definitely a go-to. So
Absolutely, and
no way to try.
also with the hydration, because what creatine
Does it make you smarter, do you know, by any chance?
Less stupider.
We're on it.
Again, it could have benefits in cognitive function. Yeah.
Nice.
Right, so before we... Okay, cool. So I noticed recently that you've been doing a lot of TRT work and you've been going to a clinic. Could you explain what's the difference between TRT and actual steroids?
Okay, so TRT is testosterone replacement therapy, and it is obviously replacing your natural levels with an exogenous source, so whether it's through a gel or an injection. The difference between real TRT and, I suppose, the fake TRT that a lot of people are doing is the dosage. So your body has its normal levels of testosterone. They work between a balance. And when you're taking TRT, you're looking to keep your levels within that range. You're not looking to go above the level, because that would be super physiological, which is what taking steroids would be. So when you're
Sorry, go ahead, sir.
When you're taking steroids, you're looking for a super physiological response. You just want to get bigger, you want to get stronger, and all those things. Whereas with TRT, you're just looking to replace what your body would naturally produce, so you don't feel like shit. Because low testosterone levels will leave you in the dumps.
Because I've heard these rumours recently about actually studies that right now, basically a young, healthy male now has less testosterone than a 60-year-old man, maybe probably 60 years ago. Have you seen anything like that?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the 60-year-old man comparison, but I think men these days in their 20s, 30s, they do have lower testosterone on average to men like 40, 50 years ago. What mechanism is that through? Come here, you're opening up a can of worms there. It could be, a lot of it's lifestyle related. It could be nutrition. You know, there's a lot more processed foods. There's a lot of reasons for that. I suppose stress could be a big factor. There's so many different angles you could look at for that.
Microplastics, I heard, is a big one as well now.
The which?
Microplastics.
Been around for a long time. It's been around for a long time. Like hot drinks in plastic containers, because of the heat, they leach those microplastics into the coffee or the water that you're drinking. You can get special plastics that are PBA free. Do these have an impact? Yes. Is it as great as some people who are pushing the movement against them? I don't know if it's as prevalent an issue as a lot of people make out. Obviously, if you can reduce any sort of toxic load on your body, great. But the body is able to process a certain amount of toxins. You know, that's what the body's built to survive.
That's it. Yeah.
You know, so, and it's funny because a lot of people, they'll be doing all these little things, then they're still going out drinking at the weekends, eating fast food and takeaways regularly, but then they're worried about the plastic in their bottles. You know, so
priorities.
Not to downplay the importance of, I suppose, being mindful of these things regarding the microplastics and mercury in certain things, but we need to be a little bit more, I suppose, logical about it.
Okay, nice. Next one I'm going to ask you is, what is a misconception that only what is it a misconception that only professional athletes would use steroids?
Is it a misconception?
I think people think that only like people at the highest level would be using these kind of things.
Maybe that's people's reasons for thinking he's only there because he takes steroids. That's the only reason he's better than me. I don't know. Could be a mindset thing. I'd say there is just as many average people walking around day to day taking some sort of performance enhancing compound. Yeah.
Mental.
Do you think, I heard that, like, I don't know, I've never tried steroids, but they do say you become into like a superhuman nearly.
Probably a slight over exaggeration, but they do work. You know, they do make you bigger. They do make you stronger. They do make you more energetic. You know, they do improve focus, which is why they're banned from sports. You know, because they do work.
Very well as well.
Huh?
Very well as well.
Yeah, exactly. But superhuman is probably an over.
Let's say I'm not an elite athlete though.
Yeah.
Why would I take steroids? What would it help me?
Again, it depends on, first of all, what your natural levels are. If you have naturally high testosterone, you might take a small dose of testosterone and not notice anything really out of it. You know, so this is where a lot of people go wrong. They don't get their blood work done first. So they're just kind of, if we throw enough shit at the wall, something's going to stick. You know, that's what they're hoping when they're taking steroids. I'll just take this and hope they get bigger and stronger without any logical reasoning behind it. But as an average person, depending on what your goals are, like if your goals are to get bigger and stronger quicker, they're going to do that. You know, there's so many other. It's context dependent. What you're looking for out of them, and then you can obviously decide whether these are going to be beneficial. They will basically enhance the efforts you're putting in the gym and at the dinner table. They're not the magic bullet everyone thinks they are. And like I said, they come with inherent risks that people need to be aware of.
Because there's people out there that think that if you just hopped on a cycle, no work in the gym, you're instantly going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, unfortunately, that's not true.
So you actually have to work hard.
Of course. Of course. To achieve anything in life, you have to work hard and you have to apply yourself. You have to be motivated. These will just give you the extra 10%. But without the basis there.
So this one's like for the YGs as well, because what's your opinion on social media?
What's a YG?
Young G's.
Our young G's. So
get down with the language, really.
Yeah, literally.
I'm an OG here, and even I know that.
But yeah, so like for the YGs, like let's just say that like some young lads or young girls now, would you say the rise of social media has created basically, well, how do I word this properly? Body dysmorphia. We all have basically crazy basically levels of fitness or bodies that we'd like to achieve.
Yeah.
Now that you have people probably jumping on cycles, or you have women doing cosmetic surgeries and everything, would you say that social media would be a root cause of all this?
Maybe not a root cause, but it's definitely a contributing factor. Absolutely, because people they're more exposed to it. And one thing is that steroids are more normalised now as well.
Trend. It's a big,
you know,
big
like
one,
my son, when he was 15 or 16, him and his rugby mates were sending each other memes about tren. And I'm like, when I was 15 or 16, I didn't even know what a steroid was. And not only did I know what steroids are now, they know individual specific ones. I'm like, what the fuck? It's become too normalised. I suppose ease of access hasn't helped that. You know, you go into any gym, any locker room, there's people who are more than happy to throw it out to try and make a few quid.
How much are steroids? Depends
on which ones you're getting, you know. So some compounds are more expensive to manufacture than others. So that will the raw compounds.
The cheapest one I can get, let's say, that builds my testosterone or
testosterone.
Testosterone, yeah. How much would it be?
It depends on.
I just need to know because
how much you have to budget.
Do I, like, you know, it's obviously, let's say if I'm a brokey, I don't make much money, and I just want to buy it.
Again, it comes down to dosage, length of cycle. There's a few different factors, but it wouldn't be that expensive to do a very basic cycle.
300, 400.
A lot less.
A
lot less. Yeah, it's not that expensive.
Okay.
Man's always lighting up over here. See a light bulb above his head.
Only 50
Ideas.
So why is there a misconception that natural supplements can replace the effects of steroids?
Because marketing has you believe that.
Really?
That's it, yeah.
So you have marketing is a big play, obviously.
Absolutely huge. But it isn't everything. It isn't everything. You know, so obviously some supplements are going to get massive marketing behind them. And like I said, a lot of them do fuck all. You know, and there's other ones that are out there that don't get as much marketing and are probably a lot better. I suppose it's like social media. If you look at who some of the more prevalent fitness influencers are, the ones who are marketing themselves all over social media content, they might be shit. And most of them are, but they're very good at marketing themselves. Yes. It seems like having a fancy reel is more sellable than having
good
good knowledge
knowledge.
and content. Yeah.
So what would you take on all these basically fitness gurus and experts on social media basically who start trends and say do these workouts, but really all
They
the
can't
information.
really market.
No,
These are ones that are marketing well and getting the trends going.
the American well, they're getting trends going, but a lot of what they're putting out there is useless
it's garbage,
to
yeah.
people's
So
actual.
what would you tell them? What can they do?
Fuck off.
So all the knowledge that they've accumulated over the years, they just can't get it across because they're obviously maybe
The
they
problem
don't know
is,
any big influencers. They don't know anyone that could market that for them. They can't market it themselves. What would you tell them?
I don't know, because I'd be telling myself the same thing. 'Cause I cannot market myself to save my life. And I suppose, do I begrudge
You have a wealth of knowledge, though. Like.
do I begrudge some of the influencers out there that haven't a clue? Yeah, but
Fuck off! I have my own problem.
but fair play to them. Like, they're putting themselves out there, so you can't knock the hustle. You know, so it's on me to own that and get better at putting out content and marketing.
So it's
myself.
about putting out content.
Definitely.
It doesn't matter how stupid it is, just put out content.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
But what if it's the wrong content, like?
Most of it is, or a lot of it is.
There's no such thing as wrong content, I'm pretty sure.
Ah,
Just
well,
have to be creative about anything. Anything can blow up at this stage.
so,
But you're talking about wrong content, as in, does it actually do what it says on the tin?
I'll give you an example. Somebody said, okay, you need to drink lighter fluid and you're going to burn the belly fat. That type of content. Like, and
I know you've drank them.
I've heard that with castor oil before, that's meant to induce pregnancies and it can help you lose weight, and because it just runs through you. Fucking
That's it. Yeah. Next one is one thing I wanted to talk about is, have you ever heard of the gut-brain connection?
Of course, yeah.
How basically I heard we have two stomachs, one in our brain and one in our gut. But one thing I learned recently was 90% of serotonin is actually made in your stomach. Could
Yeah.
you explain this more to me?
Yeah, well, that's true. So one thing that I haven't been able to find an answer to is, does the brain lead the gut or does the gut lead the brain? So, like, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I know in the past that I have had gut issues, gastrointestinal issues, and suffered with very low mood at the same time. And the two of them often come hand in hand. But I don't know, did my stomach get upset first and cause me to be mentally drained and fatigued, or was I stressed and that offset the stomach? Do you get me? So I don't know which is the root cause. I can work both ways.
I've been testing recently and I think it's the gut. January goes, I just changed what I was eating one time. Obviously, I still eat like shit. but back then when I was sick, I was like, okay, well, we're going to completely change the diet, start eating healthy, salads, fruit, a lot, right? But then I noticed when I started eating healthy, everything in the stomach was nice.
Okay.
My mood was better, and better workouts. Then you're back to the high ones and the takeaways, and then you're back to being moody again and everything. But
I'll throw out a counter argument to that. So your digestion is off, you're stressed. You focus on your cause of stress. You start doing with stress management. You know, you start doing ice baths, you know, to regulate your parasympathetic nervous system. You start following deep breathing protocols. You start to reduce your stress. Automatically, your digestion improves. Stress can have a massive knock-on impact on how our bodies deal with foods. For example, you could be eating the same food every day. The only thing that changes is your life stressors. All of a sudden, certain foods start causing you acid reflux or bloating or not digesting properly. But that stemmed from the stress, and that's had a knock-on effect on the stomach.
Or it could be time heals everything.
In what regards? The
As
stress?
in, you're sick first and then you get better.
Well, what got you sick in the first place? That's what we're trying to figure out here. You're sick in the head or you're sick. Now, there's the psychological impact and then the physiological impact. You know, so it can work both ways, but there is definitely a connection between them. And I only started looking into that myself when I started suffering with
you as well, yeah. So
gastrointestinal issues. But like I said, it always coincided with levels of high stress in my life.
Okay. Well, what stood out to me the most was the 90% of serotonin is produced in your stomach.
Yeah.
So what you eat is going to depend on how happy you are.
Of course, well, absolutely. And that's where one of the
But
things...
serotonin comes from the mind, I'm pretty sure.
No,
Yeah,
it,
serotonin.
it affects the mind, but it's produced in the gut.
Really, yeah.
So if you're basically eating a diet that is complementing serotonin, you should be happier. But if your life is shit, your life is shit. It is what it
Well,
is.
sometimes, no matter how good your diet is, it's not going to take away life's problems, unfortunately.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. Next one I was gonna say because we're running out of time, but the current state of the fitness industry. We'll start in Ireland first, and then we'll go global. What would you say is the current state of the fitness industry in Ireland?
It's really big. It's really taken off. Like we were talking about with the influencers, is it taking off in the right direction? It's hard to say because there's so much good information out there now, so much bad information. It's trying to trawl through what's good and what's not. You know, so I suppose that's where people need to educate themselves or hire someone like me that can educate them.
That's true.
Everyone's winning then.
But there's so many PTs now. That's one thing.
It's probably the most oversaturated market out there. And unfortunately, because it's unregulated, anyone can be a PT. You don't need any qualifications.
Oh, you do? Oh, well, you don't actually.
You can be an
for
online
a gym
coach.
You do.
You don't really. You should have. If the gym doesn't ask you to get insurance, you need a qualification to get insurance. But if you're not asked for that, you can still work away. And the thing of online coaches now, you don't need any qualifications.
To be an online coach.
Yeah.
Where can we find you?
Really?
Yeah.
Instagram, the nutrition psychologist, and I recently set up a LinkedIn page. So a bit more professional. So
What's your Instagram?
The nutrition psychologist.
Perfect stuff. We'll add that in the stuff. And then what about the global fitness industry? Like, let's just say basically people now, I think the biggest thing now is the mecca of bodybuilding is Mr. Olympia, or is it Mr. World?
Mr. Olympia.
Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
But what would you say to people like young lads trying to get to that stage? What would your advice be?
Make sure you have a plan B, because there's a very strong likelihood that it won't happen. Getting to Mr. Olympia stage. There's only been a couple of Irish bodybuilders that have ever made a Mr. Olympia stage out of the tens of thousands that have tried, you know. So you have to be realistic about your goals. But if that's what you want, give it everything.
Okay, nice.
And you're in for a long journey.
It's a long journey. It's
And
not
get
going to
ready.
happen in 2 years. It's not going to happen in 5 years. Talking 10, 15 years of graft.
So you must love the journey.
The process, like we said earlier on, it's all about the process. If you don't love the process, you won't get the outcome.
And for those looking to improve their nutrition and mental well-being, what starting points would you recommend?
Read as much as you can on
Read.
yeah, about nutrition, about improving mental well-being, different mental well-being techniques. It all starts with knowledge and educating yourself. So read, whether it's books, whether it's Google. You know, if you're a nerd, you can go to like a Google Scholar and read scientific journals that basically are the forerunner for all the information we get out there. All the information you see on social media has come from scientific studies somewhere along the line. So it depends how deep you want to go.
Excellent stuff. So that's also just going to the final thoughts. Brian, what's next for you on your journey as the nutrition psychologist, and what you have in the works for anybody?
I'm halfway through a master's degree in sports psychology at the moment, so I'll be starting my thesis on that in about 4 or 5 months. So that's probably the first and foremost thing. On top of that, there's no, I suppose, real sporting or athletic context for me going forward for the time being. I think the ship may have sailed at this stage. So just enjoying training and trying to be healthy.
Nice. That's it. Being healthy is number one. So anything else you'd like to add?
That was great. I learned a lot from it. I might be on steroids.
we're gonna cut that out. We're gonna cut that out.